The City of Life, Dubai, is well known for its technology and innovation, and the same city is a great source of disappointment when it comes to the world's island. Recently, the world's islands were a part of hot discussions all around simply because they were unique. Everyone everywhere seemed to be talking about these. Even the advertisements were full of these unique islands and what they had to offer investors and potential clients. People haven't seen anything constructed like that before, and you could see these islands advertised almost everywhere. But sadly, the awe-inspiring landmarks remained abandoned, forgotten, and slowly turning into a vanished site. With no signs of life found on these islands, they gradually became a memory. Not to mention, Dubai drowned $14 billion in this project that now lies buried, lost, and unremembered. What actually happened? Why did such an iconic landmark fail? What went wrong, and can anything be changed now? We'll fill you in on the details in just a sec, but before that, remember to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to stay up to date with new uploads. Done that? Let's get right into it. Let's go back to 2003 when Dubai started this interesting expedition, not knowing that it would end in failure and disappointment one day. They took a mighty start in terms of investing and spending on these islands. They could see it as a successful project already. All their efforts were well paid, and in those days these world's islands became the talk of the town. Even the city itself had high hopes for this project, and the whole world was envying the prime movers and designers of this innovative plan. The initial plan was to build an artificial collection of nearly 300 islands that would span almost 2 miles away from the mainland. They planned to symbolize the islands as the world map. Every island was planned to be named after each country in the world. The major target of this artificial archipelago was to attract the elite and the nobility around the world that included national and international film stars and business tycoons from around the world. Anybody with huge piles of money was on their list of potential clients. It seemed like a leisure neighborhood in Dubai, something that would attract people on its own, a place where everyone would want to live and go for vacation. Every year, almost 50 invitations were sent to the upper class to attract them to this mind-blowing opportunity. Many among these would show their interest in future investment and business partnership. It was thought of as a golden opportunity that no one wanted to miss. The celebrities were also showing up in advertisements to fascinate the public of this unique landmark's ingenuity. If you were filthy rich, wouldn't you utilize this opportunity? Celebrities were associated with these islands in fake news. People started believing that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie had bought Ethiopia because their first adopted child, Zahara, was born there. It later came out to be a rumor. Photos of Richard Branson wearing a Union Jack suit could be seen on Little Britain. Some might argue that maybe they weren't properly advertised the way they should have been. Maybe more effort should have been made to popularize the idea and concept behind these islands. Well, to all the people that think that, we have to say that Dubai invested $15 million in advertising the smaller islands and upwards for the larger ones. They invested almost $50 million in total. Now, don't you think that's enough for advertising? They played their part well when it came to advertising. It was not where they went wrong. Why do you think they invested so much in empty advertising islands? The answer is very obvious. A great effort, time and resource went into the construction of this landmark. They spent their days and nights on this marvelous project. They put so much time and money into it because they could see that it was the future. These world map-shaped islands were artificially made from scratch in around 320 million cubic meters of sand and 34 billion tons of large rocks. Just to give you an idea, imagine Yankee Stadium filled with sand, and then multiply that by 150. That's huge, right? During the 5 years of its construction, the designers distributed this sand over 300 islands, each symbolizing a country of the world. Each island was around 5 to 20 acres, and there was a water belt of 330 feet between each of them to create a boundary. The whole place was just calculated to be around 20 square miles. Now, considering all the measures and efforts, this vast project cost Dubai $14 billion. Dubai has always been in the spotlight around the world. Suppose they only had not wasted this amount on this dead project and instead averted it towards something more fruitful. In that case, it could have dragged Dubai more towards the already gleaming spotlight they were already enjoying. If they'd spent all this money duplicating the already existing huge landmarks they had, they could no doubt have doubled their revenues. Dubai could have used $14 billion to make 9 copies of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. From $14 billion, they could have created a circumference around their city by making 225 replicas of the Dubai frame. 13 more Burj Al Arab, the world's only 7-star hotel, could be made from $14 billion, and for $14 billion, Dubai could make another Palm Jumeirah, an artificial archipelago that was, surprisingly, highly successful. They had all these endless opportunities to utilize these $14 billion, but still they almost wasted the money in creating the world's islands that are dead from the day they were created. It seems as if they just threw the money away without doing any risk management. The construction of these islands is not only a failure of Dubai to properly utilize the funds, but also a failure of the aesthetics of the designers of the city. At a glance, you can judge that the plan did not go as they hoped. They had advertised all around that these islands would be like a world map, but this was not the final result. They planned for the world islands to resemble a world map. When you look at the original construction, it's hardly recognizable. Central America is almost non-existent. Almost all the continents are blurred. Europe, Africa and Asia are all mixed together. It's all just a big blob of sand here and there, isn't it? It's highly disappointing to imagine that after spending $14 billion, the idea behind these world maps is not aesthetically materialized as planned by the designers. Let's find out what caused such a huge loss to Dubai. One of the causes, no doubt, was sinking and erosion, but the global financial crisis in 2008 had the most destructive effects on this project. After the GFC, the project became almost impossible to sustain. By then, almost 60% of this landmark was already sold to private companies and investors, but due to the GFC, the nickel properties had to completely stop the construction in 2009. After that, the island started losing their clear borders and slowly became a blob of sand, and within time lost identity and fame. Another major cause of the failure was the fact that the plan for the installation of electric cables under the Persian Gulf was never executed. This meant these islands had no electricity. Since they were made for housing properties, therefore this was a huge setback for their success. Nobody would invest in a place where there's no electricity to begin with. The failure can also be pinned down to the fact that this project was indeed a result of some bad choices of Dubai. When you look at the complete picture, you'll see that we're not merely stating this actually is a very big reason behind their failure. They already had a well-constructed and flourishing set of man-made islands known as the Palm Jumeirah, worth $12 million. It officially started populating in those times when the world's islands were still progressing and had not hit their setback. The famous Atlantis Hotel in Palm Jumeirah, with its fascinating Atlantis Bridge, is one of the favorite spots of celebrities around the world. It's one of the most expensive hotel suites in the world. The residential properties are going high at a pace, and it's nowhere near getting full. There is still room for business and investment. In the presence of this thriving and booming archipelago, Dubai still invested in a project that was going to fail for sure. Being an innovative landmark, Dubai had more options to spend on other projects that would have been more profitable. They did not work into the idea of these islands as they should have. There are only 9 islands that are developed out of a total of 300. 6 islands, including Lebanon and Pete's Island, that make the heart of Europe, are included in these. One more island that's developed is the Michael Schumacher Island, the one named after the Formula One driver. The rest of all the other continents are just blobs of sand waiting to vanish from the earth. Still, after experiencing so much loss and failure, there is hope for Dubai. They know this resort was not a success, but they've not given up yet. Currently, their focus has shifted entirely to the heart of Europe. In that area, their new plan is to construct 10 waterfront palaces. They further plan to construct 32 villas on Sweden Island and 78 floating seahorses. These floating residences are the most unique part of the plan and are made as a vacation dream destination. It'll attract more people than the islands had. In these homes, visitors will be able to appreciate and enjoy the beautiful visions of marine life from their deep-sea bedrooms and bathrooms. That sounds cool, right? Phase 2 of this plan is based on the traditions and lifestyle of Portofino in Italy and Côte d'Azur in France. It'll feature a holiday resort for all the tourists and the locals. All these innovations and the cultural revival have helped people to forget about the failure of the world's islands and move on to more fascinating things coming up. Even the developers are taking a breath of relief that Dubai has successfully diverted the attention of the world and its people towards other new cool stuff. Hearing about their loss again and again would have been agonizing for them too. Recently, people are showing more interest in other huge projects of Dubai, especially the Burj Khalifa, that'll change in the coming years. Soon, Dubai will also be introducing the world's first dynamic tower, which is a fully rotating skyscraper worth $1.2 billion and has 80 stories rising almost 1,400 feet high. There are also plans to construct the Aladdin City, which is inspired by the stories of Aladdin and the Arabian Nights. It'll be worth $500 million. This project no doubt will ensure that the world's islands remain forgotten forever. Jumeirah Bay Island is also a new revolution in the construction industry of Dubai. It's another man-made set of islands that are shaped like a seahorse. There's a yacht club, building, housing apartments and a 5-star hotel named Bulgari in this archipelago. It's already open to the public. So what do you think? If you were filthy rich, would you prefer to live on those islands? Do share your thoughts in the comments. Like the video and press the bell icon to subscribe for more amazing stuff. We'll see you next time.